Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5. You have finished up your narrative assignment. If you happen to be a person who did not turn in your final draft of the narrative, please reach out to me through email. It is BCTC's policy that in English 101 classes, if you fail to turn in any of the major essays, you automatically fail the class, which would be a massive bummer after all of the work you've put in thus far. So please reach out to me if you're struggling in any respect. And the last thing I'll ask you to do for your narrative essay is this journal activity for Monday, which is just reflecting on your process, writing the narrative, what worked for you, what didn't, how you might take that and move forward for the rest of your essays for this class. Okay, so moving on to Unit 2, that is going to be our rhetorical analysis. So I've got a new assignment sheet up for you on Blackboard, and I'll briefly go over that with you right now. So the Unit 2 rhetorical analysis essay is going to be slightly longer than your narrative. It is 3 to 4 pages, and you're going to be using the APA title page that you did for your narrative essay, and you're also going to have a references page because you will be citing your sources this time. It's worth 100 points as per usual. This time you will be writing an outline. So the outline will be due before the first draft, and then you've got your normal drafting process, and you'll be doing a peer review this time as well. Okay, so we're going to go over all of this today, but rhetoric is essentially the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, and we use it all the time in our daily lives when we try to convince each other of anything. And I think it's really important to learn how other people effectively or ineffectively persuade us using language in order to learn how to be more effective at writing arguments or spoken arguments ourselves. So in this essay, you're going to be analyzing a speech. Now, this speech could be made by a prominent figure like a politician, the CEO of a company, could be an author. It could be also a fictional speech from a movie or a TV show, but the speech does have to be long. Probably it'll end up being at least 3 minutes long at absolute minimum, and it can be really long at maximum. It does need to be substantial, so you're looking for speeches that have meaning to them, are using maybe facts or logic as well as emotions, and you want to be able to know who the audience was of this speech, who was listening to it, and what the speech was trying to accomplish, and also who's giving the speech, so who the speaker is. One note here, you can't use the speeches that we discuss in class, so the ones that I have you analyze for your discussion boards or the ones that I go over in PowerPoints, you can't use any of those. And obviously, if you choose a speech and I happen to use it later on, don't worry. Don't freak out about that. That is totally fine. Okay, so you're going to be focusing on how this speaker uses persuasive strategies, which we'll talk about next week, to target their specific audience, and thinking about why or why not those strategies were effective. So we're going to be talking about rhetorical appeals, we're going to be talking about target audience, we're going to be talking about rhetorical situation, purpose, genre, all of these things, and applying them to a specific speech. So you are going to be required to cite an APA style, as I mentioned, and you're not required to have any additional sources besides that one speech, but it might be helpful if you're maybe doing a speech by a historical figure, like let's say Martin Luther King or Frederick Douglass. You might want to do some research to find historical context in order to understand what was going on in that time period, and why would that affect, what they're saying or who the audience is, all of these things. So I'll skip the structure part because that is something we'll go over as we move through this process, and especially as we look at the outline. But I do have at the bottom here some suggested speeches to get you started. You're required to send me your speech topic for approval on Thursday. So you do want to take a look at these, maybe see if any of them are of interest to you. I've got, like I said, Frederick Douglass here. That's a historical speech. Hillary Clinton, another. These are all historic ones. Brene Brown is more contemporary, as well as this one. You've probably heard of the Parkland shooting speech that Emma Gonzalez gave. This one is from a movie, Lord of the Rings. That one's another movie one. This one's Joe Biden's victory speech here. And then on the last page, this one's a political speech. And then this one is an example of something that's slightly different from your conventional speech. It's actually a spoken word poem that he prefaces with a little speech at the beginning. And if you're interested in doing something like that, where it's a spoken word poem and they give some sort of context to that poem, or maybe even it's a song that has a lot of substance to it, then you can reach out to me and see that might work, and it would be a really interesting take on this essay. And I'd be happy to kind of move the guidelines around for that. Okay, so that is the assignment sheet in brief, and some possible speeches to get you started. So the other thing that I want to go over today is an introduction to the rhetorical situation. So the rhetorical situation is the first thing that we want to think about whenever we're doing any sort of analysis. And this is adapted from your textbook, pages 55 to 70. And as always, I recommend looking at those pages in the textbook. It's always helpful to have multiple people explain things. You might learn in a different way than how I explain it, and the textbook might explain it in a much more easy to understand way for you. Okay, so what exactly is the rhetorical situation? Well, I said earlier, rhetoric is this art of persuasive speaking or writing, and a situation is the people, events, objects, and relationships that surround a particular thing. So that means the rhetorical situation is the circumstances that influence persuasive speaking or writing. You can think of it as kind of the bubble around whatever speaker and speech is being made. So whenever you're writing anything, whether it's a text or an essay or giving a speech, there's some kind of rhetorical situation that we're always keeping in mind in order to reach our target audience with our purpose. So we have a purpose, like I mentioned, a audience, like I said, and then we also have a particular stance and a genre to consider. So starting with purpose, is behind all writing. Anytime you write something or say anything, it's purpose driven. We say it to accomplish something. So we're trying to find the purpose for someone else's writing or ours. We want to ask, what is my motivation for writing? What goal or outcome am I trying to achieve? And what am I trying to persuade my audience to believe? That last one's particularly important as we're thinking about these speeches. What am I trying to convince my audience to believe? So in this slightly funny example that I have on here, we've got a tweet from a Carter Wilkerson from a few years ago talking about Wendy's chicken nuggets. And obviously the purpose of his tweet is to get free chicken nuggets from Wendy's. So even something as simple as a tweet is purpose driven. Obviously, the speeches that we cover are going to have a bit more of a serious purpose, probably. The second thing you want to think about is audience. So the audience is whoever is the target for this rhetoric, or the target of the persuasion. So you want to think about questions of who is the speaker trying to convince? Whose minds need to be changed by the speaker's argument? Who is capable of taking action if the speech ends with a call to action? If the speech ends with that speaker trying to get the crowd to do something, to take action to stop an event or stop a problem happening. For a speech, the audience is usually the literal audience who is sitting in the crowd and listening to the speech. So you can also talk about that in your identification of the rhetorical situation. So how you argue or persuade, the language you use, and the rhetorical strategies, which we'll talk about next week, that you use, and the medium all change depending on who this audience is. So you can think about, as you're analyzing the speech, what that audience's background looks like. What are their education and life experiences? What do they already know or believe about the topic? This is a really important one because it's a lot less pressure and usually requires less carefully crafted rhetoric to persuade someone who's already on your side, because most people operate with a confirmation bias, meaning they already tend to agree with things that confirm their previously existing beliefs or biases. So it's a lot harder to change someone's mind than it is to fire them up about something they already believe. You can also think about the relationship to the audience that the speaker has. So that really affects the language that's used and the tone. If you have familiarity with the audience, you're going to talk a lot differently than you would if you were an expert or an authority figure, where you might be a lot more formal. So if you think about an example like this, we've got an email here saying, "Dear Professor Little, I apologize for my absence on Thursday. I was ill with the stomach flu and could not make it to class. I'd appreciate the opportunity to make up any assignments that I missed. Sincerely, Anna." You see, you've got here the genre or medium of an email. They use the salutation, greeting, and this sign off here with "Sincerely, Anna." And there's a lot more formal language. We've got good grammar in it. They're more formal. Then you've got this example where it's a text message saying, "Where are you? I've been sick and up all night, no class for me." And the meme, "Not sure if hungover or dying." And then the the friend texting back, "Trust me, I wish I were just hungover." And so you can see the audience has changed because they're two friends texting. The purpose has changed because, unlike the first example with the email, where they want to make up any assignments that are missed, the purpose has changed to asking this friend where they are, and this person's purpose is just to try to communicate the fact that they are really sick and are missing class for that reason. And you can see we've got improper grammar. It's a lot more informal. It's just two friends talking. And you can use memes here. You couldn't use memes in that email because you're talking to a professor. So there's a lot of things that change just based on who the audience is and what that purpose is.